Hello, it's Miss Perry again, and we are going to talk about the Pythagorean Theorem again today for the second day. This time we're going to apply what we learned about it to word problems and problems that could come up. So, like, what are situations that you would actually use this in? It's more than just a kind of a cool thing that Mr. Pythagoras came up with. Okay, so let's start with this first problem. So remember, with all word problems, anything with a word problem, read everything carefully first, annotate, underline the important information. All right, so let's start. This one's about televisions. So the diagonal of a television measures 27 inches. If the width of a 27-inch is 22 inches, calculate its height to the nearest inch. All right, so I know that we know the diagonal is 27. And just so you know, in televisions, that's how they measure how big it is. So when they say if the width of a 27-inch, they're talking about that diagonal. But we do know that the width is 22 inches, and they want us to find its height. And when they say to the nearest inch, that means round your answer to the nearest. Well, if it just says inch, they want to go to the nearest ones place or the unit place, okay, or ones place. That's what we're looking at, okay? So this is all written out in words, so we need to probably, and for these problems especially, draw a picture. And they say, all right, so in this case, it's going to be a rectangular television. So I'm going to draw a rectangle like this. And they tell us that the diagonal is 27 inches. So we do have to remember what a diagonal is. Diagonal goes from one corner to its opposite corner like that. So we know that this is 27 inches. This is 27 inches. By the way, two little marks like that means inches, or we can just write in inches. Okay, inches. And we say, and they know the width. The width here was in pink. So the width is 22 inches. So that's from here to here. That's 22 inches. They want us to find the height. They want us to find this part here, the height that we don't know. Well, just like that. And if you notice, if you look and you notice, we have a right triangle right here. This is a right triangle. So we're going to use this triangle, and we have a missing side, so we can calculate using the Pythagorean theorem. So remember, let's label A, B, and C. I used H here for height, but we need to know which side is A, B, and C. So remember, the right angle always points to side C, so that's going to be C. I'm going to call this one A, and we'll call this side B instead of H. So we know that A squared plus B squared equals C squared. That's the Pythagorean theorem. And now we'll substitute our values in and solve. So A is 22. So 22, don't forget that we have to square it. So 22 squared. Plus B, we don't know B, so I'm just going to leave this B squared, is equal to C, which is 27. But we also need to square it according to that. So just as a reminder that 22 squared is actually 22 times 22, and 22 times 22 is 484. All right, calculators are your friend. Go ahead and use them. So 484 plus b squared, because we don't know b. And now we'll do the 27 squared right here. So that 27 squared is 27 times 27, and that is 729. Did I do those in my head? No, I did not. I am good at math, but I am not that good at doing mental math. So I had a calculator in front of me to work those out. So Now we want to get this b squared, or this b by itself, so we need to move this 484 over here. So I'm going to subtract, let's go with green, subtract 484 from both sides because they're on different sides, all right, of the equal sign. So now I have b squared equals 729 minus 484 is 245. And we're almost done. Remember, the last thing we need to do is square root both sides. And when I square root 245, we get, now let me clean up this and clear that. The square root of 245 is about 15.65. So 15.65. Now, they want us to round to the nearest one, or the nearest inch. So that means I'm going to the ones place, which is right here. And I'm going to look at the number that comes after it, even if it's after the decimal point. This 6 here is bigger than 5, so this 5 that we underlined gets bigger by 1. So this is going to be about 16 inches, and that's going to be our answer. Yeah, so 16 inches. So that's the answer to this first one. So we're going to read everything, annotate what we need to annotate, and in this case, because we're talking about diagonals and rectangles or televisions or whatever we're talking about in the problems, we're going to draw it, because drawing it is going to give us the picture that we need, especially for when we have to label which sides are A, which sides are B, where is C, because that's super important. All right, so let's look at the next problem. This time we're talking about gardening. So it says that Ross has a rectangular garden in his backyard. Rectangular is going to be important, right? Rectangular is important because that means I'm going to draw a rectangle. So here is his garden. It's not a perfect rectangle, but that's okay. So here's the garden. It says he measures one side of the garden is 22 feet and the diagonal is 33 feet. So we know that one side is 22 feet and that the diagonal is 33 feet. So this is the diagonal, that's 33 feet. One of the sides is 22. They don't say which side, so I'm just going to say this side here. It could be either one of those sides. And here's, because it's a rectangle, that's a right angle. They want to know what is the length of the other side. Round the answer to the nearest foot. Okay, so round your answer to the nearest foot. They want us to find the length of the other side. So they want us to find this right here. So this, I mean, if it's just pictures, this looks like the last problem with different numbers in it. And that's pretty much what it is. We have a right triangle. This is right here is my right triangle with the missing side. So let's label A, B, and C. So remember, this is going to point to C. So we know C. There it is. I'm going to call this side A, and I'm going to call this side B. And then we start. Let's A squared plus B squared equals C squared. All right. A is what we don't know. So A squared, see, we don't know it. Plus B squared is right here. So 22 squared is equal to C, which is 33 squared. All right. Just as a reminder, 22 squared is 22 times 22, which is 22 times 22 is, oh no, they wanted a decimal point. Okay, so apparently, let's do this. 22 times 22. There we go. 484. Oh, we just did that in the last problem. Oh my goodness, Miss Perry. Okay, so it's 484 484. So we have a squared plus 484 equals, and then we have to do 33 squared. 33 times 33 is 1089. So 33 times 33 is 1089, because that's what 33 squared is. Okay. And now we're going to start solving and getting a by itself here, which means I got to move this 484. So we're going to subtract 484 from both sides. All right. So a squared is equal to, that's 605. 605, yep. And then we will square root both sides to get the a totally by itself. And we get that a is about equal to, let's see what the square root of 605 is. It's about 24.5. So we have what, 24.5 something. Remember, they want us to round to the nearest foot. Oh, nearest tenth of a foot. Oh, I need to go out one more decimal point. 5.9. Okay, 5.9. See, that's why I have to read this. Tenth of a foot. That means tenths place. Okay, so I'm going to underline the tenths, which is the 5. I'm going to look right next to it, and 9 is definitely bigger than 5. So that's going to be added one to it. So we're going to get 24.6, and we're measuring in feet. So that missing length of the garden is about 24.6 feet. All right, we're going to try it one more. This time I'm going to pause in between so you guys can work through that and pause and work through things on a piece of paper. All right, so here's our next problem. Go ahead and pause so you can either screenshot it or copy it so that you can do some annotating on it. All right, so let's go through and read it and annotate and pick out what the important parts are. So it says, oh, traveling. So Troy drove 8 miles due east. I see some numbers, so that's probably going to be important. 8 miles east. And then he went 5 miles north. How far is Troy from his starting point? So there's our question. How far is Troy from his starting point? And they want us to round, this is important, round to the nearest tenth of a mile. So this is going to be similar to the last one. Tenth of a mile. So we're going to round to the nearest tenths place. All right. In this case, you're going to have to know which way directions go, like north, south, east, and west. So we're going to have a starting point. I will help you guys out with this to start with. Here's where he's starting. And the reason I'm having him start there is on a compass, if you guys remember compasses, right? North is top, south is down here. West is this way and east is this way, right? So actually, I don't want to start it there. All right, so let's pick our starting point. So here's where Troy is starting. And it says in pink here, he drove 8 miles east. So east is going to be in this direction here. So he went 8 miles this way, right? And then he turned and went 5 miles north. Due just means straight, no diagonals at all. So 8 miles east, that's this way. And then he turned and he went 5 miles north, which is that way. And they want to know how far, so this is where he ended up. How far is he from his starting point? So this is the starting point. This is where he ended. So they want us to find that. What's that? Okay. Now, because he went east and then due north, this is a 90-degree angle. All right. So what I want you to do is label your A, B, and C, and then substitute into the equation. Try solving it. Pause it. Try solving. And then when you're done solving, come back, unpause the video, and see if you got it right. Don't forget to round your answer to the nearest tenth of a mile. All right, let's see how you did. All right, well, we start by writing the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Oh, we need to label our sides. This, oh, is pointing to c. Oh, c is what we don't know. All right, I'm going to call this bottom one a and this side one b. All right, so a squared is going to be 8 squared plus b squared is 5 squared is equal to c squared. Where did I get those from? Those came from here. There's a and there's b, and c is what we don't know. A, b, and c we don't know. All right. Also, let's remember 8 squared is not 16. It's 8 times 8, which is 64, plus 5 squared is not 10. It's 5 times 5, which is 25, is equal to c squared. 24 plus, we can actually add these two together because they're on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm going to add those two up, and 64 and 25 is 89. So we get 89 is equal to c squared. And the last thing we're going to do is square root both sides. So I get c is about equal to, I'm going to go to my calculator. The square root of 89 is 9.43. So 9.43, and they want the nearest tenth of a mile. So we're going to go to the tenths place, which is here at the 4. And we're going to look next door to the 3. No, that's smaller than 5. So this is going to stay the same. So this is about 9.4, and we're measuring in miles. So you can write it like that. That would be fine. So what we have here is Troy is about 9.4 miles from where he started from. All right. So these problems take being able to read the question or read the problem and being able to draw a picture that goes with it and finding where the right triangles are. Because once you find where the right triangles are, then, and knowing where the numbers and the measurements are in that right triangle, then you can find the missing side like we did in our previous lessons. All right, good luck to you guys. I think you guys will do great. Have a great day.